My parents left for the airport without me. 5 tickets. 2 rooms. 1 forgotten passenger. Me. I found the itinerary still warm on the printer tray, the ink fresh. My name wasn't on it. I scrolled through the pages twice, hoping it was a mistake. But no, 5 names. Mom, Dad, my brother, his girlfriend, even my sister. All checked in. All confirmed. I texted Mom, fingers trembling. Where are you? Did you forget me? Her reply came almost instantly. We thought you backed out. You've been so moody lately. Moody. That was her word for me whenever I refused to smile through their favoritism. When I stayed quiet as they praised my brother for things I'd worked twice as hard to do. When I dared to expect equal treatment. I didn't reply, not to her, not to anyone. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was from my brother. A photo of a handwritten note he'd left for his friends. He's going to flip when he sees the photos. So this wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. Planned. My name is Ethan Carter, I'm 25 years old. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Because when the family that tries to erase you suddenly realizes you were the one holding the strings all along, things get interesting. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. Instead, I opened the travel app, the same one I'd used to make all the reservations. The $13,000 booking was still under my account. My card. My control. One tap. At 6:30 a.m. my phone lit up like fireworks. 37 missed calls. That. My brother. I smiled in the quiet, sipping my coffee. By the time the sun broke through my blinds, my phone was still buzzing, vibrating across the nightstand like it was alive. Voicemail after voicemail, each one more frantic than the last. Dad's voice came first, low and thunderous. Ethan, what did you do? Do you have any idea how much this cost? Call me back immediately. Then Mom's, clipped and desperate. You've ruined everything. We're standing at the check-in counter and they're telling us the booking is gone. Gone. Fix this now. I played my brother's message last, smug but cracking at the edges. This isn't funny. You're going to regret this. Just fix it before Dad loses it. Regret. That word he always threw at me. When I refused to cover his gas money. When I wouldn't help with his assignments. When I told him no. Now he finally tasted it. While they raged at the airport, I poured myself another cup of coffee, flipped on the TV and stretched out across the couch. For once, I wasn't the forgotten passenger. I was the one steering the trip. And what they didn't know was that canceling the booking was only the first step. Because with one click, every cent of that €13,000 refund was heading back to my account. My card. My control. By 9 a.m. another text came through, from Dad. We're stranded. This is humiliating. If you don't fix this right now, don't bother coming back home. I stared at the message, a slow grin spreading across my face. Don't bother coming back home. Perfect. That was exactly the plan. By noon, the flood of calls slowed into silence. I imagined them slumped at the airport, luggage piled around them, whispering excuses to angry staff. My brother's girlfriend probably scrolling through her phone, regretting ever tagging along. Did I feel guilty? Not even a little. Because here was the truth. The trip had been my idea. I was the one who found the package, the resort, the flights. I booked it all on my credit card because Dad said, "It'll build credit, son. Don't worry, we'll pay you back." But somehow by the time the tickets were printed, I wasn't a passenger anymore. I was just the bank. For weeks I told myself maybe they'd surprise me. Maybe they'd planned to add my name later. Maybe they'd just forgotten to print my boarding pass. But that note my brother left. He's going to flip when he sees the photos. Erased any illusion. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd erased me on purpose. So yes, I cancelled it. And yes, I took back the refund. €13,000. Mine again. That afternoon Mom tried one last time. Her text was short, trembling. Ethan, we'll talk when we get home. Just please, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. The fear in her words said it all. Dad's reputation was built on generosity. On being the provider, the man who took his family on lavish trips. What would people say when they found out it had all been me? I typed back one word. Enjoy. Because the photos they planned to take, the ones meant to mock me, would never exist. And the story they thought they controlled was already slipping out of their hands. By the next morning, the whispers had started. My cousin texted first. Your dad said there was a mix-up with the airline. But Uncle Joe swears he overheard your mom saying you canceled the whole trip. What's going on? Then another message. Wait, weren't you the one who booked everything? People are saying you paid for it. The truth was seeping out faster than they could contain it. And the more they scrambled to spin their story, the more obvious it became. I didn't post. I didn't rant. I didn't share screenshots. Not yet. All I did was let a few family members connect the dots. A quiet nod here, a short reply there. Yeah, the trip was on my card. Yeah, I saw the itinerary. My name wasn't there. And for once, that silence, that quiet power, was louder than anything I could have said. That was enough. By noon, Dad called again, his voice tight with fury. Ethan, listen to me carefully. You will tell them it was a mistake. You'll say you panicked and canceled by accident. Do you hear me? If you embarrass me over this. I cut him off. Embarrass you? You left me behind, Dad. 5 tickets and not one had my name. You weren't planning to take me. You were planning to humiliate me. The only embarrassment here is yours. For once he had no comeback, just silence. I hung up before he could recover. My hands were steady. My chest lighter than it had felt in years. Because for the first time I wasn't the forgotten son. I wasn't the overlooked passenger or the quiet shadow. I was the one pulling the strings. And he knew it. But the real fallout hadn't even begun. By the weekend the story had spread beyond whispers. At Sunday lunch, Grandma called me herself. Her voice was calm, but there was a quiet disappointment beneath it. Ethan, tell me the truth. Did you really pay for that trip? And did they really leave you behind? I swallowed hard. Yes, Grandma. Every cent came from my account. And yes, they printed the tickets without me. 5 seats, not 6. She was silent for a long moment, then sighed. I always suspected your father leaned on you too much. But this is cruel. By evening my phone was buzzing again. A cousin texted. Your dad looked like a fool at church. Everyone asked why you weren't with them. He said you had work. Nobody believed him. Then a friend of the family posted a cryptic status online. Funny how some parents forget which kid holds the receipts. The cracks in Dad's image weren't cracks anymore. They were fissures. Meanwhile, Mom's tone shifted. Her midnight text read. Ethan, please stop talking to people. You're making it worse. We'll pay you back. Just don't ruin us. But I hadn't ruined them. I'd only told the truth. The ruin was theirs, and the mask they'd worn for years was finally slipping. Sitting on my couch, I opened my banking app. The refund notice glowed on the screen. 13,000 euros. Safe. Secure. The money they thought they'd enjoy without me was now fueling something else. My freedom. Because this wasn't just payback. It was escape. Breaking free from a family that saw me as a wallet, a servant, an afterthought. And the best part? I hadn't even shown my final card yet. The following week, Dad's calls turned from threats to bargaining. Ethan, he said in one voicemail, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it, we'll work this out. Just stop talking to people. You don't understand the damage you're causing. The damage I was causing? As if it hadn't been his betrayal that started it all. Meanwhile, my brother's smugness had vanished. He texted late one night. You didn't have to go this far. People are dragging me online. Some of my friends saw the note I left. How did that even get out? I smirked at the screen. I hadn't shared it, but all it took was one cousin snapping a photo when I showed them, and suddenly the joke was making its rounds. His words, he's going to flip when he sees the photos, had become a punchline. And he was the joke. Mom tried one last angle. Think about family, Ethan. Think about how you'll feel when we're gone. Do you really want things to end like this? I stared at the message before typing back. You ended it when you left me off the tickets. While they spiraled, I was building. The refund wasn't just sitting in my account anymore. I'd already put part of it down on something they never expected. A small loft of my own. Papers signed. Deposit made. A home free of their control. And when I finally moved in, the silence of my own space felt like thunder. They thought they'd left me behind, but I'd moved forward. By February, their carefully polished story had shattered. At family gatherings, people no longer asked why I hadn't gone on the trip. They asked why my name wasn't even on the tickets I had paid for. Dad tried to insist it was a mistake, but the cousins weren't buying it. Strange mistake, one of them said, considering it cost 13,000 euros. The final blow came from Grandma. My cousin relayed it to me word for word. If Ethan hadn't cancelled, you would have happily gone without him. That's the truth, isn't it? Dad didn't answer. He just got up and left the room. Meanwhile, I was settling into my new loft. My own furniture. My own keys. My name alone on the lease. For once, I wasn't an afterthought. I was building something that belonged only to me. But I wasn't done. One Saturday, I posted a single photo online. The view from my balcony, sunlight streaming across the city. Caption: funny how being left behind can lead you exactly where you belong. No names. No accusations. But everyone knew. The comments poured in. Support, admiration, subtle digs at my parents. My brother even tried to comment. Don't believe everything you read. But it backfired instantly. People flooded the thread with questions he couldn't answer. That night, Dad called again. His voice was hollow. Ethan, what do you want? Money? An apology? Just tell me what it'll take to stop. For years, I'd begged for scraps of acknowledgement. Now he was the one begging. And I realized, I didn't want anything from him anymore. They had taken me for granted. I had taken back everything. Spring sunlight spilled through my loft's windows as I brewed coffee in my own kitchen. The quiet hum of peace wrapped around me. No shouting, no guilt, no being treated like luggage that could be left behind. Just silence. And freedom. Meanwhile, their world had shrunk. Word had spread, through the family, the neighborhood, the church. Everyone knew the truth. The lavish Christmas trip had collapsed. The tickets had been booked on my card, and they had deliberately excluded me. Their friends pulled away. Neighbors whispered. Even co-workers avoided their table in the break room. The photos they'd planned to flaunt never existed. Instead, the only story people remembered was how they stranded their own son. One last letter came in the mail. Dad's handwriting jagged and rushed. We went too far. I see that now. But did you have to ruin us completely? I read it once, folded it neatly and slid it into a drawer. Not to revisit, just to remind myself of one truth. I hadn't ruined them. They'd ruined themselves the moment they decided I was disposable. That evening, I invited a few close friends over. We ate takeout on the floor, laughing until the city lights blinked on outside. For once, I felt whole. Not because of what I had taken back from my family, but because of what I had built for myself. Later, standing on the balcony, I whispered into the night. They left me behind, and it was the best gift they ever gave me. Because poetic justice wasn't revenge. It was this. A life on my own terms. Free. Steady. Untouchable. They had tried to erase me. And instead I became unforgettable.